I have 1/2 cup of cocoa butter or cacao butter. In the other video, I used coconut oil, and you can use coconut oil. It does taste better if you use cacao butter, but that's more expensive. And then I have 3 tablespoons of milk powder. This is whole milk powder, and this is where the milk chocolate comes in. Do not use actual liquid milk that has water in it, and it will ruin the chocolate. So you have to use milk powder, and actual real milk chocolate that is mass produced in factories uses milk powder as well. And then I have 1/3 of a cup of cocoa powder and 3/4 cup of powdered sugar or icing sugar, confectioner sugar. And that's where the sweetness is going to come in. You don't have to use all of it if you don't want to. Now let's head over to the stovetop and make this chocolate. All right, here we are over at the stovetop, and I have this large Pyrex bowl, and you can use a metal bowl as well. And then I have this pot underneath, and it's filled not even halfway, about 1/3 of the way with water. And I have the heat set to about medium high, and what's going to happen is as that water heats up, the steam is going to warm the bottom of the bowl, which will melt the cocoa butter, which is what we want. You don't want the water touching the bottom of the bowl or anything like that. This is just a very simple double boiler method. You could also do this in the microwave if you wanted. So I'm going to take my cocoa butter or cacao butter and put that right in there. And you can find this online on Amazon or like at specialty stores. Here in the United States, we have something called Whole Foods. Place like that, you can find this cacao butter. It's fairly expensive, but it tastes really, really good. And as that bottom starts to heat up, you'll be able to see it start to melt. And we don't have to stir constantly. We'll just stir occasionally here as this cacao butter melts. All right, once all of the cacao butter or cocoa butter has melted, we can turn that heat down to like medium low. And now we are going to take the 1/3 cup of cocoa powder. I sifted this cocoa powder to make sure that there wouldn't be any lumps. And we want to just stir this in. Okay, I'm going to turn this heat off. We don't need it on anymore. And now I'm going to add in the milk powder. And one thing I want to note is homemade chocolate like this using cocoa powder, it's not going to turn out like the chocolate that you buy at the store. It's not going to be the same. So if you're expecting this homemade chocolate to taste exactly like the kind that you buy at the store, you're going to be disappointed. This still has a really good chocolate flavor, and it's fun to make it at home, but I just want you to be prepared for that. Someday I'm going to do a chocolate completely from scratch using the cocoa pod or cocoa bean, and that'll be amazing. That'll be more like a store-bought chocolate. Once we have the milk powder all incorporated, I'm going to start to add my powdered sugar. I'm not going to add it all in once, just maybe about half of it. Okay, and once that sugar is in there, we'll add some more. And you could add as much of this sugar or as little of it as you want. If you wanted to make sugar-free chocolate, then you can leave that sugar out. So what I do with my spatula is I kind of go around the sides and then on the bottom. And we're just going to keep stirring and kind of smashing it down with the spatula just to get this as smooth as possible. Okay, I think I'll put the rest of that sugar in there. Another thing I won't show is I'm not going to show tempering the chocolate. That's something that you might want to do. But I want to do a whole separate video on how to temper chocolate. So I'm not going to show that in this video. Okay, once we have all of that sugar incorporated, I'm going to stir and keep moving it around and stirring for about 5 minutes. So this is going to give us as smooth as chocolate as possible for what we can do at home without all those commercial equipment. And now once those 5 minutes are up, I know the chocolate is still going to be too hot. I'm going to remove this completely from the pot and then take it over to the table so there's no heat underneath it. And then I'll continue to stir for another 5 minutes, and that's going to help gradually cool it down, and then we can put it in the mold. All right, so I have the chocolate over here on the table now. There's no heat underneath it, and I'm going to just continue to stir and kind of just push down a little bit like this on it, and it's going to help make this chocolate as smooth as possible, as smooth as I can get it here at home without those special machines that they have. Again, they have this machine that's the process is called conching, and it has these big, it's like a cement cylinder type wheel almost, and they have a couple of them in this big drum, and they turn and spin, and the chocolate goes all around and gets smashed in it. And they do that for a couple of days, and it breaks up all the little particles in there and just makes amazing velvety smooth chocolate. So that's one reason why I say if you are expecting this homemade chocolate with this cocoa powder to taste exactly like store-bought, you will be disappointed. But this is still yummy, and it's still fun to make at home. Okay, once the timer has gone off, then I'm going to take my mold here, and then I'm just going to pour that in there. Make a couple of bars. I'm just using my granola bar pan, and you could use all sorts of different silicone molds if you want. They have specific candy bar molds that you can buy. This is what I use for my candy bars, but they have some that have more of a classic look to them. And then scrape this bowl as best as you can to make sure you get all this yummy chocolatey goodness in there. Okay, and now I'm just going to let these sit at room temperature for 30 minutes or so, 40 minutes, just so it can kind of set and cool by itself. And then you can put it in the refrigerator for another 30 minutes to an hour to set completely. The reason why I'm not going to put this in the fridge right away is because it will cool it too fast. And when that happens, sometimes it can cause like a layer, like a white chalky looking layer, which is the cocoa powder or cocoa butter that's kind of separated a little bit, and it's just not as appetizing. But if you let it cool more slowly, it helps to prevent that from happening. All right, so here on the counter or here on the table for about 30 minutes until it sets a little bit, and then in the fridge for another 30 minutes to an hour. On to that step. Once the chocolate bars have set, it's time to dig into them. So I can just come in here and just squeeze this apart a little bit and push that little chocolate bar right out of there. And look at that chocolate. Pretty awesome. Nice and smooth and just has a really nice finish to it. These silicone molds just really help to get a smooth finish as well. But it looks pretty cool. I'm gonna snap it. Nice snap to it. Of course, it is cold, so that helps. Just looking at it, I can see that there is a little bit of grain in there. You may not be able to see it, but I'm gonna give it a taste. A very good chocolate flavor. It tastes like a milk chocolate bar. It is a little bit grainy, but that's to be expected. Like I mentioned earlier, if you were expecting it to taste exactly like a chocolate bar that you buy at the store, you will be disappointed. But it does taste really good by itself, and you may not care about the little grainy taste. Who knows? So super easy to make this chocolate bar, and it does taste good, and it's fun to make at home. If I can do it, you can do it. I'm Matt Taylor. This has been another episode of In the Kitchen with Matt. Thank you for joining me. As always, if you have any questions, comments, or requests, put them down below and I will get back to you as soon as I can. Thumbs up, down in the corner, push it. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel and check out my other videos. Take care. Time for me to dive into this some more. Oh yeah.